some more people to sign on. But what I want to talk about today is I want to go into the 4 words that I posted on our Facebook page, which is persistence, skills, tenacity, and knowledge, right? And we're gonna talk about knowledge a lot because it seems that everybody's craving knowledge, but really the question I asked is, out of those 4 skills, right? Knowledge, skills, persistent, and tenacity. Which one do you think is the one that makes the most successful person? Which one of those skills makes you more successful than any of the others?
Can you repeat all 3, please?
Sure. Knowledge, skills, tenacity, and persistence.
Persistence.
Persistence. Okay. Anybody say? Tell me why, Habiba.
Because I feel like skills and knowledge, can come before or after, and it could really play little to no effect. But I think when you're persistent, then all those things that you have as skills and knowledge will then apply, because then that person has no choice but to listen.
Okay. Okay. Anybody think something different?
I would need to ask you, what are your differences? Because I thought that persistent and tenacity went hand in hand. Can you elaborate on the difference on that a little bit for me?
Well, we will, but the class hasn't started yet. I just want to see what your opinions are.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I completely didn't know what tenacity was. I completely bypassed that. So yeah, okay, bye.
Okay, listen, no, it's fine. Well, first of all, if you don't know what something means, you always ask a question. That's first. Second of all, it's important that you do understand the meanings of all of them. And by the time tonight's class over, you will. I just want to get off on another subject right now, just to let you know. So myself, the ALC, is hard at work putting together a different kind of Ignite. And this is going to be Ignite like no other. I guarantee you that, because it's going to be much more putting you in action and less teaching you. We're going to teach you things, but we're going to put whatever we teach you, we're going to put it into action right away. But what we did today was kind of interesting. We looked at the amount of years of all the people that are teaching you, how much experience they all have. So between me and Renee, you got 76 years right there. Then you got Carolyn, who has 28 years, right? So that's 106 years. I'm sorry, 116 years, right? Then you got 10 years from Chatter, right? That's 136 years. You got 4 years from Wesley, that's 140 years. And I just don't know how long Jen's been in yet. So I haven't had a chance to talk to her. So that's close to 150 years worth of real estate experience that's going to be teaching you guys. That's pretty cool. And you're going to get a lot, because everybody comes at the same thing from a different angle. And when that happens, is you really start to get a lot of knowledge. You start to get a lot of collective knowledge. So I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be starting in May. We're going to be announcing the days. You guys are going to have to sign up beforehand and let us know if you're going to be there or not, because there's a lot of work in the beginning to make sure that we're all going to be on point. We're all going to have the same information that we need. We're all going to have the same tools, all the same documents, and you're going to know how to use everything that you're supposed to use before you get to class. And then once you're in class, that's going to make class that much easier. We're going to be starting them at 11 in the morning. We're going to be ending them between 12:30 and 1 o'clock, depending upon how long the tasks take. They're going to be going Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, with the exception of the first Monday. And we'll talk about that a little bit. So I think we're really going to be able to harness something here that's going to really tie in to making how we're making PC a little bit different, and how we're asking you to all get into our boot camp. this is going to collectively really give us an edge on letting us move forward and doing what we need to do. Okay, so we'll look forward to that. You'll hear more about it as we move on. I'm going to get into the class now. Good news, there's no PowerPoint. Bad news, you might have to take notes. Okay,
Are the classes are gonna get recorded?
class is always recorded unless I turn off the recorder. And the only time I really turn off the recorder is if I feel like people aren't engaging and just think, oh, I'll catch the recorded version later on. So I'd rather you be part of the class now and engage with us than have to listen to it later on, because it's going to lose its effectiveness. There's no doubt about it. And we're going to start doing classes live very soon, which means that we'll have the class inside the office and we'll do a hybrid version where we bring it into Zoom as well. So some people who can't make it for whatever reason don't have to make it, but we'll have a kind of live audience. We'll get to play to a live audience. It's been a long time since I've done a live class, so I'm really looking forward to that as well. But we'll get to that part. Right now, really what I want to do is I really want to move forward with what we were talking about, and there's a reason for it, okay? Because once you realize what the key skill is, then we'll be able to really live into that. Nuria, let me ask you a question before we start. Tell me when you're ready.
Ready?
Okay, great. Out of these 4 skills that I'm going to talk to you about, or 4 qualities really, which one do you think is the most important and why in order to be successful? Knowledge, skill, tenacity, or persistence? Which skill do you think you need to exhibit in order to be successful?
I think persistent.
Okay, so you and Diana are on the same page. You think Diana Z are on the same page. You both think that persistence is the key quality. Diana, what do you think is the key quality? Diana Colon.
Well, being persistent is good. I think that skills, because sometimes if you have a skill, it just come naturally. So you don't have to do much. It's just, you're just good at it.
Okay, interesting. April, what about you? What's your feeling on it?
Obviously all 4 are important. I definitely think I would say probably persistence would go a little further. And I want to say tenacity also in this industry. I think you have to have a level of gumption to
Yeah, I heard somebody refer to it as moxie today. I guess that was in honor of Purim.
that's kind of, I think of it, but I mean, I kind of feel the same as far as it's a little silver, it's like a little gray area with that word. So, but I've been.
Well, we're going to talk about the definitions of all of them, and we're going to talk about what they mean and how they affect us and what we can expect from each of them. So let's go into this a little bit deeper, right? So when we're looking at the difference between knowledge and skill, we are often confused between the several terms that catch our attention. These terms can spell the same or mean the same. Still, they are several terms that we're finding confusing. And although they complement one another, they're not the same. There's completely that are different in spelling, but the words don't mean the same. So when you get to knowledge, right? Knowledge is defined as the process of having an understanding of something, like an object or a person, etc. It's basically the skills acquired through practice and education, awareness of something that someone is often labeled as knowledgeable. Knowledge might be practical, theoretical, or based on the understanding of a subject. Examples of knowledge include the ability to navigate and find a location, or the ability to learn different kinds of alphabets and languages. There are 4 significant types of knowledge that we're going to talk about. Skills, however, are significantly different than knowledge, because a skill is defined as the ability that has to be acquired through practice over time. See, you can have talent, but that doesn't mean you have skill. Your skills are built to accentuate your talent or accentuate your lack of talent in a certain area. Some people have to be educated in a lot of things in order to become skillful in them. And then once they get that bit of education, their skill level goes to a very, very high level because they practice it on a regular basis. So lead generation is a skill. The more you practice lead generation, the better you'll get at it. So if someone wants to become a master of a skill, how long do you think they have to practice it? If you want to master something.
Every day.
Okay? Every day for how long?
I mean, at least if you really focus on something, at least for 2 to 3 hours, but you have to be proficient or like really be focused on doing that, not get distracting others.
You have to practice for 10,000 hours
Oh.
to become a master. Now, do you need to be a master in order to be a good salesperson or an excellent salesperson? No. No, as a matter of fact, if you read Gary Keller's The One Thing, they tell you focus on the one thing that you do well and drive that home. Don't try to be good at everything because nobody's good at everything. For example, you may find yourself to be very good at beginning things, but in the middle, you kind of way off and you're not so good at finishing. Or you may not be a good starter, but you may be a monumental finisher. Some people can get into a house, start a presentation, and then just completely drop the ball because they have the inability to ask for commitment. And why do you think they have that? What, in other words, if you get into the place and you're talking to the people, but all of a sudden you can't ask for the sale, what's going on there?
You fear the rejection or the no?
That's exactly right. You care about people, what they say and what they think of you too much. You're afraid of the no. The great thing about getting older is you stop caring about what other people think. And the older you get, the less you care. And it doesn't mean that you don't care about people. It just, you don't care about what they think. So if you ever happen to go by my house one day at about 11:30 on a Friday night, you might see me walk out wearing my wife's coat and slippers to take out the garbage. Because I really don't care. At that point, all I want to do is get the garbage to the curb. That's my main objective. What I happen to throw on has absolutely nothing to do with any it doesn't matter anymore. So, I'm just the crazy guy who goes out, sometimes dressed weirdly. But I'm more concerned about the purpose than I am about how I'm perceived doing it. Okay, and that doesn't mean everything in my work life. That just means I'm comfortable, I'm at home, and that's the case. Some people, are very buttoned up. They look perfect all the time. That's the way they have to be. Okay, and I'm not making any comment or any judgment on that. What I'm saying is they're not comfortable with it any other way. And some people don't like anybody not to like them or anybody to disagree with them, or they try to please everyone. Can you please everyone? Is that possible?
No.
Today I was sitting down and I was actually toasting Wesley. Okay. I happen to have in my refrigerator beer that he likes, and he happened to have chips, and beer went very well with these chips. And me and him sat down, and I wanted to congratulate him on his journey so far. Okay. And his journey so far has taken him from being a salesperson to being someone who half capped, someone who capped, someone who got onto the ALC, and now is in leadership and is my launch coach. But the moment I started with Wesley, I saw bigger things. Even though there was a lot of baggage that needed to be taken care of by him, with me pointing it out, he was able to look at that and say, okay, fine, this is where I am doing this. This guy seems to know a little bit more than me and has a significantly bigger head. So let me see if I could take what he has and see where that takes me. And one day Wesley will get to the point where he has everything I can give him, and he'll move on to something else. And that's what should happen. That's a natural progression, okay? So that's taking knowledge and skill to a different level. I'm giving him the knowledge. He's the one that's perfecting the skill. And the reason why he's perfecting the skill is because he's doing it over and over and over and over and over again. See, what you may not know is Wesley doesn't drive. It's very hard to be a real estate agent and not get around. So Wesley perfected a way of getting leads from a deli. Right? Went into the deli, made friends with everybody in the deli, talked to everybody in the deli because he's very personable. And then eventually created relationships. Those relationships developed into referrals. And then those referrals came back to him as business. So here's a guy who can't drive, who capped, and found a way around anything that he does. And this isn't an homage to him. This is just me telling you, if you want to put the time in it, you'll get the benefit from it. But real estate does something that a lot of things don't do in life. Real estate does not give you instant gratification. Real estate does not show itself. Real estate is a lot like working out or being on a diet. You go on a diet, you're on a diet one day, you're really strict with it, you're eating all the food you're supposed to eat, but you don't look skinnier. Your clothes don't fit you any better. That's going to take over time. You're going to have to persistently and consistently do that in order for you to lose weight. Just like working out, right? But one of my favorite commercials about working out is they have this guy, he's at the gym. He runs around the gym one time and then he gets right on the scale and he decides he's not going to the gym anymore because nothing's changed. But he only went around the gym once. It's like when I ask people about for sale by owners, oh no, I don't do them. Why? Oh, I had a mean one day. So that means all for sale by owners are mean. And they're not. I don't lead generate. Why? I had a bad experience. Okay, fine. Most people don't. Most people, when they lead generate, don't have bad experience after bad experience. They have actually pretty good experiences. Because you find out that if you come from a point of contribution and you know what you have to say, and you're not afraid to pivot and you make it conversational, which are all built up skills, but you need the knowledge at first in order to get the skill, right? Because the skill is a learned behavior. You may have talent, but there's a lot of talented people that are broke. And there's a lot of very, very intelligent people that are in prison. So it doesn't mean just because God gave you something that you're going to do something with it that's going to be phenomenal. Unless you use it and you strengthen it and you find the places to go where you're really going to nurture it, it's not going to do you any good. If everybody here has a different talent, everybody here has something that could make them successful. The sad part is, according to real estate statistics, in 2 years, I'm going to be talking to one of you because the other ones are going to drop out for various reasons. I hate those numbers because I know how hard you guys try. That's why we try so hard as educators to get you off and into some type of productivity right away, because we know the sooner we can get you in, the sooner we can get you into productivity where you're talking about real estate, not talking about anything else, that's when we know we're starting to click. Because success breeds success. And you might have heard the expression, success leaves clues. Did you ever hear that expression before? You ever hear that, Samantha? Success leaves clues?
I have, but I never understood what it really meant until I always do like an evaluation of my life. Does that
Okay.
make sense?
I could tell you right now, right? You and Habiba are consistently doing something. You're starting to see a little tiny bit of the fruits of your labor.
Very tiny, but yes.
No. I told you, this is not an instant gratification thing.
I did not disagree. I agree.
Right? You're running a marathon. You're not running a relay. If you have the patience to watch it develop, you're not going to believe what you get out of it. And here's the thing. Gary Keller says in The One Thing and in MREA that the thing that got in the way of his real estate career, of him really finding the true reality of who he is as a person, as a salesperson, is that he had to go out on appointments in order to live. Had he just spent all that time lead generating and building his database, he thinks he would be in a completely different place now. Now, Gary Keller's a multi-billionaire. Gary Keller's a visionary, okay? Gary Keller built a company organically that is technically the most productive real estate company on the planet. And he did it without advertising. He did it by word of mouth. And he put in a system that made the people who are naturally not friendly to one another like one another. And that's by letting people share company dollar. So when we profit share and we want people to be successful, it's actually for a selfish reason, because we're sharing more company dollar. But by sharing more company dollar, that means everybody's making more. And here's why you never know what the next phone call is going to bring. You saw the announcement today, right? We announced that we brought in Forest Hills. Did everybody see that? We brought in a
Yes,
90. You saw that, right?
Yes, you're breaking up a little bit. Like
I'm sorry. Is this better?
yeah, you're here, but then sometimes you kind of buffer.
Yeah, I'm moving in and out. I'm drinking coffee, so maybe that's why. Can you hear me better now?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Do you know who's responsible for bringing that group in?
Ariel.
Ariel. That's right.
Break.
Okay.
We have
And
to be preparing.
Ariel took 3 years to get his first deal. Okay? Ariel took 3 years to get his first deal. But Ariel was something that was very obvious. Ariel has a tenacity that's second to none. The word no does not exist in Ariel's vocabulary. That means no, you're not shutting the door on me. No, you're not getting away without talking to me. No, I need to talk to you and I'm going to talk to you. That's what it means. That's persistence and that's tenacity. But we're going to explain the difference about that a little later on. Okay, so we spoke about skill, right? So you know skill is learning. The reason why skill is important is because skill is going to help you with leadership. We're not born leaders. It's going to help you with communication, oral and written, because let me tell you something. You master using the right words at the right time, and you would not believe how much things are going to turn around for you. And that's why I say to you, when you begin lead generation, it is extremely important that you record yourself. People who come from New York from Boston up east, let's say, okay? Right? Northerners from the Northeast have a habit of connecting sentences with words that most people are not really comfortable with, you know? Like, you know what I mean? And what happens is you lose the professionalism of it. I was really guilty of that in the beginning. I used to say the word like a lot. And then I listened to myself on recordings a couple of times. And I said to myself, wow, this is kind of nerve-wracking. I don't know if I could listen to me for a long period of time. So I started working on it and I got better with it. It still comes out every once in a while. It's just like I used to feel very, very comfortable if I used slang while I was teaching. Now I rarely use it unless I really want to punctuate something because I don't think it's necessary. I think that using cursing or using a slang word is really an escape because you can't think of the right word, so you just use that as the adjective. You know, get a little bit more clever. Show me what you got. And then maybe we can get on the same page. So it's those kind of things, especially if you want to do things in other areas. It's funny. Sometimes you may be talking to someone as a client or a customer, and they may curse. It doesn't give you the right to curse. Or they may let their guard down and say certain things that might be off color. Don't join in. Sometimes it's a test. You haven't really met probably a lot of critical thinkers, but people who think in a critical manner always look at things three-dimensionally. They don't look at them two-dimensionally. So what you're looking at as 1 and 2, they're looking at 3 different points of it. And when you look at things three-dimensionally, you don't always only see the solution. You see the problem, and then you see the outcome, but you also see what will disrupt it and what that outcome would be. You're looking at a whole bunch of scenarios at one time. That's what severe critical thinkers do. You get in line with one of them and you start negotiating with one of them. And that's a whole different ballgame. And you'll know by their conversation, okay? So leadership, teamwork, professionalism, critical thinking. These are some of the skills that people who are looking for talent look for. What's the first thing we asked all of you guys to do when you decided to come into real estate? What's the one thing we asked you all to do?
Lead generate.
And we wanted you to take something.
Oh, the personality.
We asked you to take the KPA. So you want me to tell you the funniest thing about the KPA? The first KPA that you take before you come into real estate is not going to be the next KPA you take when you're in real estate for 3 years. It's going to be the same type of test. You're just going to have a completely different set of parameters after you take it. It's amazing to see people progress and to see how they become critical thinkers and how they look, and now how suddenly the easiest answer is not always the answer. And that's what that's set up to do. It's set up to tell us how you think, how you learn, and how you rationalize. And also what type of person you are. In other words, if you're the person that likes to be in gatherings, if you're the person that wants to be by themselves because that's the best way they can think, how you like to be managed, all those really cool things are in the KPA. KPA is amazing. When you see a KPA, if you know the person that the KPA is about, but they mix up the KPAs, you can pretty much tell the person by reading their KPA once you get to know that person. It's kind of odd, but it goes that way. And I've read a lot of people's KPAs, including a lot of leadership, and it just matches and fits in with them. Okay, so those are some of the skills, right? So knowledge is defined as the process of acquiring a skill through education. Awareness, anything is labeled as knowledge. On the other hand, skill is defined as the process of acquiring the ability through a lot of practice and hard work. Knowledge can be theoretical, practical, based on understanding and a particular subject. Skills are the abilities developed over time through practice and experience. Knowledge is acquired through education, i.e. learning. On the other hand, skill is considered a practice behavior. Knowledge results in having experience in certain things. Skill is increasing an ability about the things that you like or that you enjoy. So all of you are real estate agents now. What is the one thing about real estate that you really enjoy? April, what's the one thing about real estate that you really enjoy?
I mean, of course, the money aspect whenever I start making the money. But
I
I've
don't know
always
if you enjoy that yet.
I know, right? I don't know. I've always loved just the whole idea of real estate, really, and the connections, the people that you meet along the way. I'm very introverted. I'm extroverted when I have to be. So I like that it gets me out of my comfort zone. And you know, the networking is powerful, especially with Keller Williams. I love the system that's in place with Keller Williams.
Okay.
I think honestly, that's what I love the best, is really just being connected with Keller Williams.
Okay. Can we talk about being introverted for a moment? How many people on this call think they're introverts or extroverts? I want all the introverts to unmute themselves. So Samantha, you think you're an introvert?
Yes.
April, you think you're an introvert?
Yes.
Diana, do you think you're an introvert? I don't know.
If it's Diana Colon, no.
Yeah, Diana Colon, do you think you're an introvert?
No.
Okay, you think you're an extrovert, right?
Yes.
Okay, you got to be one or the other. Diana Zambrana, are you an introvert or an extrovert?
Definitely not an introvert.
Not an introvert. Okay. All right. So do you know what the difference between an introvert and an extrovert is? And I'm going to ask an introvert. So I'm going to ask April. April, what's the difference between an introvert and an extrovert?
So when I think of like an extrovert, I think of someone that's like the life of the party, that's very, very charming, like all the time. No matter where they are, people just tend to just love them, gravitate towards them, and seemingly without any actual effort on their part. It's just kind of they maneuver. Whereas an introvert, it takes work to be that person. So they can be that person, but they're not going to be that person all the time. It's usually kind of in spurts or, you know, in a force action almost.
Okay. You use two great words there, right? You use work and you use force. Because really the difference between being introverted and extroverted is energy.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So situations that make introverts uncomfortable, which are usually parties, gatherings, big things, cause us to exhaust a lot of energy.
Yes.
And that becomes depleting. So when an introvert goes into an uncomfortable situation, they become depleted energy-wise because they have to put out so much.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely right. Through tenacity and persistence, you can get an introvert to act like an extrovert, especially when the introvert understands the reason why they need to do it. Okay? If you said to me, Marco, what do you really enjoy doing? Right? I love to teach. I love to make people be better than what they think they can be. I love being a real estate agent. I love taking people from point A to point B, or showing people that sometimes if things look bleak, that there are things that they can do that to make their life better. I love all of that, okay? But if you get down to the core, what I really like is I really like creating by myself, okay? It's the reason why when I chose to become a musician, I became a drummer, because I can hide behind a set of drums. It's not me out there with a guitar standing in the front or me singing to somebody, okay? I'm behind a set of drums, so I'm kind of protected. And also the drummer's the coolest person in the band, so I enjoyed that part too. But that being what it is, allowed my personality to come out and still me to be comfortable. The thing that makes introverts great real estate agents is introverts want the one-on-one relationship. It makes them more comfortable. Whereas the extrovert wants to party, the introvert wants the one-on-one intimate relationships. So it makes us better at that. So I'm a reluctant extrovert. I'll be the first to tell you. But when it comes to a one-on-one or it comes to a small little gathering, that's when I'm at my best. But I realize because of the nature of my job and everything I do, and I travel and I talk and I speak, I can't be introverted. That's not an option. And I've actually learned how to kind of get energy from it, to thrive from it. So part of it is your opinion of you and what you think other people will have. The other part of it is the energy part of it. And that's really what it comes down to. Introverts just have to give more energy when it comes to situations that they're not comfortable in. Extroverts don't give more energy when they're in a situation they're not comfortable in. They just find more people to join the party. And that's basically it. But either one could be a good real estate agent. Okay? So when we're talking about knowledge, right? What we want to do is we want to look at all the different ways we acquire knowledge. And one of the ways we acquire knowledge is prior knowledge. We can walk into a situation where we're new to the field, but have prior knowledge that will help us. For example, if any one of you, after being in real estate for a year or two, decided you wanted to become an appraiser, it would be relatively easy because you would have a concept of compared value, of comparison value. You wouldn't know the other values, but you would have a concept of that. So the prior knowledge will help you. When you learn certain things because you've practiced them and you're harnessing your skill, you can fall back on your prior knowledge to not make the same mistakes all the time. So knowledge and skill somewhat goes hand in hand, but you got to remember, in order for you to get your skill, you need to take your knowledge, harness it, and practice it. So if I said to you, I want you to all become great lead generators, it means you have to take what you know about lead generation and go out and do it. And after a while, it just gets easier. I mean, think about all the things that presented a problem to you when you first got into real estate and how it doesn't kind of present that same problem, that same challenge now. And that's what this is all about, okay? So now you know what skills are, now you know what knowledge is, and now you know knowledge could come from different places, right? All of that's going to build up confidence. Confidence is part of the thing that success leaves clues. Confidence is the first thing we see as leaders that tells us you're ready to grow. When we see you become more confident, when we see you stand a little taller, put your point across a little smaller, a little stronger, and start pushing back on us, then we know that, hey, this is going to be something, this is going to be a fun ride. Right? Because now you're developing into a real estate agent. So let's talk about persistence. Persistence means you're undaunted in what you do. You will push forward no matter what. If you are convinced that what you need to do and where you need to go is in front of you, a persistent person will do anything they can to get there. That's persistence. You never give up. Perfect example of persistence, and you can keep this in your mind, okay, is the 4-year-old in the store who wants the toy. They never stop putting it in the shopping cart. Never. They have to be physically restrained to stop doing it, because there's a lot of things that are working against the parent at that point in time. One, the parent doesn't want to cause a scene. The 4-year-old has already known that through prior knowledge, and they know that they're not going to scream, they're probably not going to get any kind of spanking from it. The most that could come is they'll get a timeout. And they've been through timeout, so it's cool. So the 4-year-old has rationalized all that, if you could believe it. The toy store or the store that you're in, they're going to make life hard for you too, because it just so happens that all the cool toys are right at the child's level. You think that's by accident? Or you think it's by design? You think when they design stores, they say, we're going to put all the cool toys right at the child's level because we know the poor parent isn't going to be able to do what they need to do because the child is just going to outweigh the parent. And the way they're going to do it is through persistence.
They do it by design, and also it's the same thing with like cereal. Those cartoons, those animations on there, they're leveled in a way so that it communicates with the child. I've heard about that.
Oh yeah, no, listen, there's no doubt about it. I'm going to tell you something about being expert with a child. If you have any kind of streaming service, okay, I think it's IMDb has it on right now. It's a movie called Founder, and it's about Ray Kroc. And Ray Kroc is the founder of McDonald's. He's not the inventor of McDonald's. He's the founder of McDonald's. The reason why everyone in real estate should watch that is because it's the quintessential real estate movie, number one. Number two, it's a great movie for salespeople to watch because it really teaches you a lot of sales technique. But number two, it also teaches you on what they do to compel people. And those golden arches, right? You'll find out what they're all about if you watch that thing. And listen, my kids, when they were younger, were programmed. How brilliant was it to make a Happy Meal? Right? Just the word, a Happy Meal, a meal that makes you happy. Oh, and by the way, it has a toy. Right? So what does your kid want? When your kid sees McDonald's, boom, boom, boom. It's like Pavlov's dog. They start to salivate. They want to go there. They want a Happy Meal. They want the one with a toy.
Even the box was cool back in the day, Marco. Remember opening that little box?
Absolutely. They got your hook, line, and sinker. And look, you want to take McDonald's on steroids. If you ever take your children to Disney, my philosophy with Disney has always been, Disney doesn't want some of your money. Disney wants all of your money. There is a store outside of every ride, right? So you come down the ride and you go, oh, Mom, I want the picture. And oh, Dad, I want the t-shirt. And oh, I got to get the big stuffed animal. And before you know it, you're walking around the park with all these things that you're holding. And you just started. And this goes on and on and on. So after your vacation at Disney, once you remortgage the house, you can come back and you can decide you want to go on another vacation, because the Disney vacation practically not only bankrupted you, but your energy is gone. Introvert or extrovert, it's killed you. I walked around all of Disney 2 years in a row with my daughter on my shoulders because my daughter refused to walk. And I think she was like 4 and 5, which I think to this day is the reason why I have a bad back. But another story for another time. But that being said, the persistence of the 4-year-old putting the toy in the cart is why the 4-year-old wins. Persistence. The problem with persistence is persistence only sees through blinders. They only see what they think is going to work. And they push that forward. Now, what happens if what you're doing is failing, but you're persistent? So you're so persistent, what you're doing is failing, and congratulations, you keep on doing it. You ever meet anybody like that? They persistently and constantly do the wrong thing, but they're persistent at it. You know what those people are called? You know what that's called? That's an addiction, right? People who smoke are addicted to smoking. They know it's bad for them, and they still continue to smoke. They're persistent. Same way people who use alcohol or drugs or food or binge watch, they know it's not the best for them, but they consistently do it, and they're very persistent at it. Tenacity is a different story. Tenacity brings in the skill set that you need to understand. Hey, listen, I'm tenacious. I'm going to get what I want. But if I have to pivot and I have to change my way of doing it, I'm going to do it as long as I get to my goal. That's tenacity. Tenacity are the ones that win all the prizes. Tenacity are the ones that are at the top of the class. Okay? They're persistent, but they're tenacious. Nothing's going to stand in their way. They will pivot and shift from whatever they have to do in order to get what they need done. So if you're not going to watch the movie Founder, okay, I'll tell you one line in it, and it's very simple. Ray Kroc is talking to the people who invented McDonald's. And he says to them, do you know what the difference between me and you is? He goes, I'm going to explain this to you. Now, I'm not saying that I believe this, but I'm telling you this is what set these two people apart. And the set apart was very big, by the way. Ray Kroc said, if someone was drowning in front of me and I needed to get past them in order to get what I wanted, in order for me to move forward, I would let them drown. Or I would get a hose and put it in their mouth so they would drown quicker, so I would get to where I want to go. And then he asked the people who invented McDonald's, could you do that? And collectively, they had a heart. And they said no. And he said, that's the difference between me and you, and that's why I am now buying your business. So that's being tenacious. It might be tenacious in the wrong thing, but he was going to do whatever he needed to do in order to succeed. Now, that doesn't mean you do it immorally. That doesn't mean you do it unethically. What that's saying to you is you're willing to keep enough of an open mind to understand that it may not be your way that works, but if it works, who cares? If your goal was to get the listing, but your presentation as is wasn't going to do it, and you needed to shift and make it a little different, do you really care? I'm asking, do you really care? Because this is not, the moment we become robotic is the moment we're going to get replaced. Because more and more and more, our relevance is being taken away every day. Every day.
With everything, like for example, the Apple products, right? Every year there's something new, they're pushing out for more. You gotta, like, even though you're loved and known and whatever, you still gotta do better. So you gotta, that's basically the same thing, I think.
That's right. If you don't change, you'll die. The world is littered with companies that don't change. Okay? Remember when people used to rent VHS tapes? Remember there was a big company, they were everywhere, called Blockbuster. And what was Blockbuster's claim to fame? Not that they had VHS tapes. What was Blockbuster's claim to fame? They didn't charge you to rewind them. There was no rewind fee at Blockbuster. You could bring it in any way you wanted. And that's what put out all the mom and pop VHS tape people. Now, listen, I know that some people on this call may not get it, but before there was streaming, there were DVDs. And DVDs were in stores, and before that, they were VHS tapes, right? And the thing was, is that a lot of people didn't rewind them. So when you went back to the store, not only were you paying a late fee, you were paying a fee to have it rewound. And that's how they were making their money. They were making the money on the rewind because they knew nobody ever rewound it, because it took minutes and minutes and minutes to rewind and nobody wanted to take that time. They were done with the movie. They took it out, they put it in the case and they went. That was it. Blockbuster eliminated that. And then, does anybody remember the way Netflix used to work? Before
Sadly, I did.
Okay. All right.
I'm
Tell
dating
us, Diana.
myself here.
Tell us, Diana. How did Netflix used to work?
So Netflix actually was a mailing, it was a by mail like DVDs. You would rent them and they would mail it to you.
That's right. But you got them in a couple of days. And I don't know how they did it, but as soon as you sent it back, another one was there. It was almost like they were outside your door. I have no idea how they did it so quick, but they did.
And prepaid. You didn't pay for the shipping.
That's right. So I'm going to tell you about the evolution of Netflix, because Netflix is a really, really interesting company for this. And this will talk to you about the difference of being tenacious or persistent. So Netflix is going along great, right? They become a top streaming service. Movies. They got movies here, movies there. Sony turns around and says, hey, you know what? We're not going to give you our movies anymore. MGM turned around and said, you know, we don't need you. We're going to have our own streaming service. We're not going to give you our movies anymore either. So Netflix was faced with the fact is that their products were dwindling. And they were completely controlled by something that was out of their control. So what did Netflix do? Did they fold up and say, okay, that's it, our time has come? Were they persistent and kept on pushing whatever movies they had left, even though they didn't have a large catalog anymore? And the people that
Netflix
they did,
originals.
that's right. Netflix said, you know what? We'll make our own product. And now Netflix is considered one of the top product makers. HBO happened the same thing. All the movie companies wanted to charge HBO a lot of money to rent their movies from them in order to broadcast them. And then HBO said, you know what, this is not profitable. So they started making their own content. They shifted. And now the movie companies are like, please take our stuff, please, 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 pretty please. Nobody comes to the movies anymore, right? So things are always going to change. We are in a constant change right now. And as new agents, you have to embrace that. As new agents, you have to be aware that the iBuyer is not going to go away. So you're going to eventually have to embrace the fact that you may be selling real estate as an avatar. It's going to happen. If I told you that you'd buy a car online 5 years ago, would you believe me?
No.
I've bought 4 cars online, never test drove any of them. They drove them right to my door. It was easier. And I didn't have to confront the salesperson. It was the best thing in the world. Okay? So how far do you think people are from buying houses online?
I think the pandemic also contributed to the comfort zone of that as well.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
It definitely did.
Yeah.
Amazon contributed to everybody getting more comfortable, but now Amazon is in everybody's lexicon. And you know what? I try to give my money to merchants as much as I possibly can, but they just don't have what Amazon has.
Hey, Marco, speaking of Amazon, have you heard that they bought out MGM, I think, or yeah, I think they bought MGM.
Who they bought MGM Studios?
Yep.
Well, they're the richest company in the world. It's going to be the first $1 trillion company. Yeah, so why not?
And I think today or yesterday I heard that.
Okay, well, listen. You know, Jeff has to do something with his money. God bless him. Everybody said, who's going to buy an electric car? Why you want an electric car? Everybody wants to hear. No, You made electric cars fast. You made them cool. You made them want to have it. Oh, and by the way, you don't have to pay for gas. Really? Oh, gas is so expensive. Where can I buy an electric car? Well, now you got to wait. You know, you got to wait a year to buy a Tesla now. And you're paying $10,000 over the book. They just slipped that little thing in. So,
Marco,
yep.
I'm sorry, this is so off topic, but I don't want to forget. I just want to say thank you for all these classes and sessions because it really has helped me a lot, and I see it and I hear it, and it has helped with the confidence in the matter of speaking with people about real estate. Like I was at the gym yesterday, and like this man who works in the city, you know, he's getting a lot of money from where he works. You could tell that he speaks a language that I probably don't. However, we bumped heads, we talked, I introduced myself, I told him I was in real estate, and then he started talking because he knows about real estate also. But then thanks to your class about inflation and the interest rate and all the other stuff, we had a really long conversation, and he was really impressed to the point we exchanged contact information. So
Excellent.
I'm like, yes. Yeah, I just wanted to say that, so thank you.
Excellent. No, good. Now nurture it and do something with it. That, you know, it's great that you got the information. What are you going to do with it next? That's really what it comes down.
Nurture, nurture, nurture. Persistency and tenacity. Got it.
Yeah. No, there's no doubt about it. And the tenacity, like I said, the tenacity is really the one quality you want to have if you want to be successful. And let me tell you a couple of things. Do you know how old Colonel Sanders was when he started pitching Kentucky Fried Chicken? How old do you think, April? How old do you think Colonel Sanders was when he started pitching Kentucky Fried Chicken?
Not too sure. I think maybe I want to say 60s, but I'm really not too sure. I knew it was a little old.
62.
He was, okay.
How many presentations do you think he did before somebody finally gave him a chance to debut Kentucky Fried Chicken at their restaurant?
Wow. 60,000.
2,000.
Jeez.
He did
Wow.
2,000 presentations, and the only way he got it is they let him do it if he did it for free. Okay, so he did it for free. You know what Colonel Sanders is famous for? He's put more people through college than any human being. He's paid for more people's college full than anybody else. Not by giving out grants and stuff like that. His hometown, anybody he could get his hands on, he put him through college. He died penniless. And he died broke. Okay? And he died without a company. Colonel Sanders does not own Kentucky Fried Chicken. A huge corporation owns Kentucky Fried Chicken because they bought Colonel Sanders' name and his likeness. Okay? That's part of not knowing what you're doing. And they offered him stock shares or cash. And guess what he took? Cash. That's right. Had he taken the stock shares, he would have made well over $200 million. So, and his secret recipe is written somewhere in one of his restaurants around the door frame. That's where he wrote the secret recipe, all the herbs and spices and all that go into it. That's where he wrote it. Okay. The car company, Honda, was completely destroyed in World War II. Right? Honda was a Japanese company, huge motor company. They were actually, Honda Motors were in Japanese Zeros in World War II. Company was completely destroyed. It took them 9 years to come back. How big is Honda now? When Honda first came to this country, it was like a joke, by the way. A Honda, a Toyota, a Nissan, they were like the cheapest, ugliest cars in the world. And slowly but surely, they started gaining hold and they started gaining traction. Now they're not that. Now the American car companies are struggling because the American car companies refused to change. They didn't believe in zero defect. They thought that was impossible. And the Japanese perfected that. So you can get upended at any time in business, which is the reason why you can't be persistent and not have your eyes open. You have to be tenacious. What we're giving you right now, what you're learning right now with this boot camp that we're rolling out, is that this is the fulcrum. This is the basis of your business. Lead generation is the basis of your business. And I'm going to tell you how much of a base it is. I told you about we're rolling out the new Ignite, right? And that everybody in the ALC and myself included are really trying to delve into it, and we're trying to figure out what's relevant, what we need to add, what we need to subtract, and where it needs to go. But right after we were done with this, Renee, who's going to be teaching the lead generation part, did a lead generation course for the core. And he was so psyched that you could feel the energy coming through the door of his office. And at one point I turned right to Mila and Sakina. I said, I don't know what he's selling, but I'm ready to buy. I mean, this is ridiculous. He has so much energy teaching from his desk. And he said to me afterwards, he said it was because there was a new energy in the room when we were all talking. Because he said, as long as he could remember, it was the first time we were all talking and not disagreeing. So I'm telling you, you have a great opportunity here. We're in the process of figuring out the years. I don't know, I think I mentioned this before, but I'll mention it again. There's over 150 years of experience that's going to be teaching you guys Ignite. Okay, that's a lot of experience. So please latch onto it. You know, I think this year is going to be a really, really good year for everybody. I really do. I just think that you have to get behind what we're asking you to do and just simply do it. Talk to people, have the conversation all the time. Who do you know that wants to buy, sell, rent, or invest, or change their life and go into real estate? Those are the 5 ways you're going to generate revenue. And then there's a whole bunch of different ways that you can do that too. But yes, be persistent, be tenacious, right? Grab onto the knowledge, because the greatest investment you can make in anything is in yourself. And then build the skills. That's a dangerous combination. And I think every single one of you can get to be the best version of you can. And then we'll see where it goes from there. Any questions? Diane, I see you lighting up, but you're not saying anything. Do you want to say something? Okay, so a couple of questions I have for you. We're going to be having an open house on one of Wesley's new listings, not this Sunday, but next Sunday. Naturally, all of you can't be at the open house. You can all come see the open house, but you can't all be at the open house. However, what you can do is, if any of you on this call or anybody else in PC is going to be offered this, because there's a lot of blocks, if you want to go deliver 20, 30 flyers, alerting people of the open house, being able to put some of your sales skills out there, that's number 3 on one of the strategies that we're using for lead generation. Hi, just wanted to let you know we listed a house right around the corner from you, or just a few blocks from you. It's a 2-family house and it's 2 3-bedroom apartments and a walk-in apartment. It's semi-attached. It's on a nice sized lot, so if you need a little extra property, you have it. We're holding an open house this Sunday. We have a special VIP showing from 12:30 to 1 o'clock just for the neighbors. All we ask is that you fill out the back of this, and you won't even have to sign in. And we're giving a special prize. The person who guesses how much the house is going to sell for, once the house sells, we're going to give a $500 gas card to. Right? So come on down. We'd love to have you. If you know anybody who wants to buy, sell, rent, or invest, or you think somebody who might be interested in that house, bring them along. And over here, it says the agent that gave you this flyer, please fill that in. And away you go. Because the agent who filled out the flyer, if that person buys the house, there'll be $500 there for you too. Even if you don't attend the open house, as long as you inspired the buyer to come, and then if you got them as a lead, good for you. If you inspired them to come and you follow with them, and you wind up being the agent that sells the house, good for you. That's called tenacity, by the way. Okay? If they say, oh yeah, I really want to go, say, great, why don't I meet you there and take you through? You develop the lead. Take it home. Right? So if any of you are interested in that, please reach out to me. Wes isn't going to be here. He's leaving for Florida. So I'm going to be the one arranging this. So I got to kind of have to know and know where you guys, what blocks you're going on so we don't double do blocks. But this is the first chance you're going to get. There's going to be a lot of other chances that we're rolling out. But this is going to be it. Once we start building, me and Wes start building up our listing inventory, you guys are going to get to play with all of that. We have no desire to work with buyers. Zero. We'll list them, you sell them, fine by us. Okay? That's all a little part. Okay, great, no problem. You guys can text me, whoever you want to do that. It's not going to take long to do 20, 30 flyers. If you want to do more and go on another block, just let me know. But we're going to start this sooner rather than later. Good weather is coming. It's going to be springtime. You can have a lot of nice conversations. This will lead right into your lead generation. So everything will really line up for you. Okay? Any aha moments from tonight? You walk away with tonight with anything more than what you got when you got here? What about you, Sam? Learn anything new?
I'm always learning as usual. Right now, I'm a little overwhelmed to bring up a point.
Okay. If you had to bring up
But I
one point, though, what would
understand the
it be?
difference between persistence and being tenacious.
Okay.
It really does highlight how some of my shortcomings with persistence, especially when it comes to trying to change bad habits. And it always starts with like a small detail, but I'm persistent about not changing that small detail.
Okay.
Like social media, for example, it took me a very long time to get on it. I did my first post and I had a lot of feedback, and it just made me like really realize that persistence can also be a form of limiting your mindset. Things like that.
Yeah. Yeah. In Bold, when you guys go to Bold, you learn that that's called limiting thoughts. Right? How did that feel? Right? How did that feel when you realized that you did something and it came out, you had the desired outcome? How did that feel, Sam?
Say that one more time, please.
How did it feel when you set out to do something and it came out the way you wanted? You got the desired outcome. How did that feel for you?
A little bit of damn, why did I wait so long? And a little bit of, see, that's not so bad. And then a little bit of good job. If I'm being really honest.
Yeah, I love your honesty. I love your honesty. I don't know if you could be any other way, to be honest. But I like your honesty and I like your sincerity. What I can tell you is don't beat yourself up over what you didn't do. There's nothing you could do about that now. You got to live in the now, because the now is going to shape your future. Anything that happened before, this class, you can't do anything about attending it, not attending it, getting something out of it. There's nothing you can do to recoup the time that's already spent. Every day we wake up with a currency of 24 hours. How we spend that currency is going to really make a big impact on what we get out of life. And no matter
just
how
like it's posted in your, just like it's posted in your office, it's like the time is now. Your clock is now. Now.
Every number on the clock in my office is now. That's right.
Yes.
Okay. And that's by design also. But the whole idea is this. It's that we all have the same amount of time, right? Whether you're the richest person in the world or you're the poorest person in the world, everybody wakes up with 24 hours. What do you do with them? Right? What do you do with them? That's going to make all the difference. And I'm telling you, you're one contact away, you're one phone call away, you're one conversation away from making a big difference in your life. And this is not me selling you. This is me seeing this over time. And I am a firm believer that every day is a dress rehearsal for the following day. What you learned the day before, right, acquired knowledge, is something that you might use the next day. It's the lesson that you learn from the mistake that you made, that you don't beat yourself over, and that you allow yourself to know you're gonna fail. Is anybody on this call a baseball fan? Anybody know anything about baseball?
I like the
Two
Yankees.
strikes, you're out.
Okay, all right, you like the Yankees. So in order to be a top-notch baseball player, you have to succeed 30% of the time. 300 hitters are invaluable. 300 hitters make about $25 million a year, okay? The difference between a 300 hitter and a 200 hitter over the course of a season is about 50 balls that find themselves into play fair. That's the difference. But they're wrong, or they don't accomplish 70% of the time. There's very, very few jobs that allow that kind of failure rate. So obviously failure is part of their game. Yet their game is based on success, but failure is part of their game. And it's an extremely, extremely, extremely hard game to play. And just to give you an idea, 0.396 seconds is the amount of time it takes a ball to leave a pitcher's hand and cross the plate at 95 miles an hour plus. 0.396 seconds. So what batters think is if they blink, they won't see the ball. So they practice not blinking in order to possibly hit the ball. And then it's a real scientific game if you want to study it. I used to coach baseball, I used to coach softball, and I used to coach soccer. Okay, so, and the reason why I coached kids is because when I was growing up, my dad died when I was young, and coaches were the ones that gave me everything. They gave me confidence. They taught me to believe in myself. So I kind of, when I got older and I was able to give back in that way, I did. And I got so much out of it. And naturally, because I was a real estate agent, I got a lot of real estate out of it too, because all my kids always wore jackets that said, if you want to know about real estate, ask the coach. So everybody looked forward to their nice jackets, and they were advertising me at the same time. So, I mean, you know, it's not unfair to make a little bit from it, but there was so much about giving back to it. And later on, when I started coaching agents, not teaching agents, but coaching agents, right? That was really a paradigm moment for me as well, because I realized that it was the accountability portion that meant everything. It was not the teaching. It what happened after the teaching. Now, if you want to put that in a real estate perspective, it's not the conversation, it's what you do after the conversation that matters. Getting the conversation is fine. What happens after the conversation? That's going to be the difference. And Diana Zambrana.
Yes.
Diana, and I'm going to fall back on this until we have something else to fall back on. But your big commission day, right? Your big payday, right? Mm-hmm. How many times did you talk to these people before they gave you the list?
A bunch of times. Everybody's making fun of me.
What kind of ridicule did you get from all the agents in the office for going after that particular listing?
Everybody was like, been there, done that. It's a waste of time. Don't bother.
But you had nothing else to do and you were tenacious, right?
Yes.
And you basically broke the bank in terms of your first commission.
Yes.
Wasn't bad. And you earned every dollar of it. Because we learned so much about each other on that. And I learned so much about you. And you want to know somebody who's tenacious. Okay. Tell them how you moved the downstairs tenant.
Oh my goodness. I showed up at the property with a moving truck and a couple of guys that I just gave a couple of bucks to so that they can just move all his things out.
Did he know he was moving that day?
Oh, I mean, I told him he was moving. I don't know if he was willing to move.
So
But I told
Diana
him.
showed up with a moving truck and a couple of guys, knocked on the guy's door and said, okay, you ready? And did he get in?
Yeah, he did.
Did he take all his stuff out of the apartment?
Oh, yes, we did. Everything.
All right. So the point I'm trying to make is I would never do that. Okay. But I also told Diana it would be a good idea, right? That I heard to get a food truck to come to an open house. And lo and behold, Diana gets what? An empanada truck?
No, it was a taco truck, which, by
A
the way,
taco
if
truck,
anybody
I'm
needs,
sorry.
if anybody needs the connection, I said that.
That's fantastic. So when you guys have your first open house, hopefully it'll be towards the, late spring, early summer. You need a taco truck, talk to Diana. Okay. But the whole idea is that this is someone who thought out of the box. This is someone who has an entrepreneurial spirit. This is someone that was willing to take a little bit of a risk in order to get a lot of reward.
Let's
And
not
I
forget
know-
next week's closing came from the putting my card in the goodie bags.
I'll talk about that.
My
Talk about
daughter's
that, huh?
birthday. My daughter's birthday was in January, and even though she felt embarrassed, I told her we're putting my business cards in every single goodie bag. She's like, Mom, my friends already had it. I'm like, well, you know what? They can give it to their uncles or someone else. And next week's closing came from one of her best friends whose mom knew I was an agent, but needed a reminder. Well, her daughter's godparents were looking for a house to buy, and that's how I got them.
Okay. You want to hear family embarrassment? I go to a wake, okay? And I'm at the wake, and the person that passed away was my sister-in-law's brother's wife's mother. Okay. So we're over there and we're all talking. And I've been with my wife a long time. Even prior to us getting married, we went out for 9 years. So I kind of like grew up with her family. All right. I met my wife when I was 16 years old. And we were together ever since. So that's a long time. You could do the math. So anyway, I'm talking to this woman, and she said to me, because I used to work for my brother-in-law in Middle Village, and she said to me that she was very, very disappointed in the way my brother-in-law was handling the sale of her house. And I said, I don't know what makes me more disappointed. You telling me that you're disappointed in my brother-in-law selling the house, or the fact that you didn't tell me about it? And she said to me, I didn't have your number, which is kind of BS. She could have called my sister-in-law and she would have gave it to her. But either way, this isn't fighting time. This is work time, right? So I have my wife saying to me, are you kidding me? We're like 3 inches away from the casket and you're talking about business. What's wrong with you? I said, no. This is going to go quickly. Anyway, make a long story short, I got 266 and walk-in basements, okay, which my brother-in-law couldn't sell. So not only did I get to sell these houses, but I got to kind of go like this to my brother-in-law, which was a lot of fun because he deserved it. And the whole idea is that I had no idea this existed. I didn't follow up anything. It's just when I heard the opportunity, there was no chance that I was going to let it get away. That was my tenacity. Okay. Embarrassed the hell out of my wife because I did this at a wake. But you know what? She didn't mind spending the money and going on vacation. So that's just the way it goes sometimes. So sometimes you're going to put yourself out a little. Sometimes you're going to do things a little bit differently. Sometimes you're going to have to think out of the box. And you know what? For that, I'm sorry. I'm not telling you to become an ambulance chaser or anything. But it's not bad though, by the way. If you befriend someone who's an undertaker. Okay, one of the biggest real estates in Middle Village, his brother's an undertaker. And that's not by accident, that's by design. So, you know, people have to die, people have to pay taxes, people have to live somewhere. So sometimes the mingling of the two isn't such a bad idea. That being said, there's a lot of opportunity everywhere. It's up to you to go out there and find it. When you find it, the rewards could be great. Your skill, your knowledge, and everything will come in there. If you don't have the answers to everything, don't worry about it. Okay? They don't know the scripts. They don't know what you don't know. They'll know what you don't tell them. They'll know if you talk in a way that you don't seem sure of yourself. But you know, there's an expression, fake it till you make it. Some people don't like to use that. But you really know what to say because you know how to have a relationship. What you're afraid of is you'll miss the little details. I'm a fanatic when it comes to details. So don't worry about that part of it. Okay? You'll never be alone as far as that goes. So, any other questions? Habiba, what'd you take away? What'd you learn today that you didn't know before?
Well, I thought I was an introvert, but I think I'm an introvert wearing an extrovert face. That's what I learned.
Okay. All right. If that works,
but
for you, that's fine.
at heart, I'm an introvert, but based on what we talked about, I'm actually not what I thought it was. But it's cool because I can be both. Woohoo!
That's right. Absolutely. April, what did we learn today?
Well, I love all the examples of tenacity just now. Those are great examples, I think, of tenacity. So and I've been told that I'm tenacious, but I never really quite understood the context of it. So I guess it's a good thing. I mean, I knew it was a good thing. I just really didn't know, I guess, how to capitalize on that or really what that meant for me. So I think maybe now I just have a better idea of just thinking outside of the box and just kind of, again, having a gumption to be bold and to do something differently. It's kind of what I think I got out of tonight.
Pretty much the reason, if you notice the names of the courses in KW, they're not timid, ignite, bold, right? Because the whole idea is dare to be bold. Why not? Because if you're not bold, you're not going to get noticed and not noticed in a way that you have to be flamboyant or over the top, because there's no set definition of what a successful real estate agent looks like. I could show you some people and they're highly, highly successful real estate agents, so they work at a very, very high level, but you'd never know. And the reason why you'd never know is because they wear the costume to blend into their atmosphere of where they work. You know, and since the pandemic, suits and ties have kind of taken a back seat. And people are more in a comfort mode right now. It might be because we've gained a tremendous amount of weight during the pandemic and none of our clothes fit. I don't know. Maybe that's it. But it's the kind of thing where things change and you got to adapt. And that's one thing that we're doing. And we're doing it as a company. The one thing I love about KW is KW never waits to see it. They always envision it and then live into it. And I've seen it time and time and time again. So not this Sunday, next Sunday, Wesley is going to teach the class. So be kind, okay? Because I know he's really nervous about doing it. And Diana, no tricks, okay?
So that open house, Marco, is that going to be the same day that Wesley's teaching?
I think it may be. Yeah, I think it may be. I'm going to see if he's going to be doing the open house or if maybe I'm going to monitor it, whatever the case may be. We'll see where he's at that point. If he wants to do it, then yeah. no doubt about it. There's a big thing coming out on him on Monday or Tuesday on our on all our social media. So, you know, jump on that, say some kind things to him. And we're gonna have a lot of fun. I think we're gonna have a lot of fun this year. I really think this is gonna be a good year for everybody. With that, I thank you all for showing up. I really do appreciate it. I find it funny, when I told everybody they had to be here, there were 15 people here. And when I make it an option, only 7 show up. But lots of times it's the same faces. And I think that's going to have a lot to do with the amount of checks you guys cash. And I'm not making money the reward, but it's definitely the outcome. There's no doubt about that. But everybody, have a really great night. Thank you so much for showing up. If you have any questions, please feel free. Text or call me. I'll be in the office tomorrow. And I'll see everybody on Sunday.
Thank you, Marco. See you Sunday.
Bye.
Hopefully sooner. Bye.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Also, too, if you do not have everything that you need, meaning the tracker and everything else for boot camp, let me know, okay? I'll talk to you later on. Oh, great, April, thank you so much. I will keep that in mind. So we're just going to print up the flyers. You guys can come in, pick them up. We'll have the invitations on the back for the neighbors, the VIP invitations, and a place where you could sign your name that you're giving it to that person. So then we'll know, okay? Talk to you guys later on. Take care.